first Cornflower Conversation, a series of webinars designed to share information and ideas for our partners in the museum and cultural attraction sector. My name is Jake Garapi, and I'm the U.S. representative for Cornflower. Joining me today is someone that many of you know and are familiar with, and that's Melody Caban, the principal and founder of Melody Caban Consulting, and Simon Nutbrown, CEO of Cornflower. Thank you both for sitting down with me today. First,
Thank you,
Melody,
Jake.
would you like to give us a bit of your background, the work that you've done in the industry?
Yeah, Jake, thank you for having me. I'm a cultural commerce consultant and a columnist based in the US. I focus on helping institutions from art to science and everything in between really align the retail strategies with their mission to drive profit and purpose. So, with nearly 20 years of experience in museums and cultural retail, you can say I don't ever miss a chance to exit through the gift shop.
Great, thank you very much. Simon, how about you? Give us a little about your background.
Well, I started Cornflower in 1999. It's showing my age in a moment. So over the last 27 years, we've grown Cornflower from what was ostensibly a greetings card publisher. We were publishing greetings cards under license from organisations like the Royal Botanic Gardens in Kew and the Natural History Museum in London. And it's grown now to be a leading supplier of bespoke, as we would call it, or custom, as you would say in the US, custom products for museum retail. We deal with most of the major museums and galleries here in the UK, but we have a growing number of customers in Europe and the Middle East, and of course now the US, which we're particularly excited about.
Great, thank you. We're excited too. Melody, you often talk about the museum store as being a destination in and of itself. Tell us more about that idea and why it's so important.
So, your store, in reality, it's an asset, right? It's not just a pass-through space. And it'll be an afterthought only if you really allow it to be that. So, when a store is done right, it can be a vibrant extension of the museum's mission and really a place where people continue to learn. So, take a moment. When you mention going to the museum store to everybody, it's joy, right? People are excited to go in. That's kids and adults. So people want to be delighted in that store. And this impacts their experience as a whole. So visitors who stop by the shop are actually more likely to return the next year to the museum, to your institution, than others who skipped it. And it's also a unique destination. So if it's unique, people want to go check that out. They want to really see the products, the looks, be able to learn more and have a deeper connection from what they just saw. Visitors can really create new and deeper connections to the museum, the mission, and really take a piece of that story home, making it a destination that is important for them and important for you.
Great. And I'll just add, I recently had the chance to visit some fabulous museums, and this doesn't necessarily speak well of me, but I kind of couldn't wait to get to the museum store. I loved the exhibits, but I couldn't wait to see what they had in the shop. So, Simon, you recently posted about the importance of museum stores as resources that support the museum's larger missions and their other vital activities. Could you expand on that?
Well, I mean, I've always thought, from the very beginnings of Cornflower, of a museum products as not just a sort of a simple souvenir, but as an ambassador for the collection. And you've got something, you're selling something exclusive in the shop, and that is then people are obviously taking those products home, and they're using that as an opportunity to discuss the museum, a gallery, the collection, the artist with their friends, with their family. People love to explain. People love to show their knowledge off, and a well-designed product from a museum can help them do that. It's a term that I've created called visitor splaining, which is we all know about mansplaining, which obviously for obvious reasons has negative connotations. But I'd like to think of visitor splaining is positive, and it's where people are then using those products to go and then talk to other people. you know, you're on the train and you have a tote bag from a museum, and somebody might say, what a beautiful tote. Where did that come from? It came from such and such a museum. I went to the exhibition, and all of this, and it's all part of just extending the product beyond that initial sale. You know, and I feel that you know, there are other things that products can do as well. You know, if in terms of creating custom products, alongside the education department, for example, to do an activity book for children, working with the marketing department, working with the membership department. You know, for example, why don't you have on a notebook that's got a paper band on it, on the back of that paper band, you know, a money off membership of the museum. You know, it's all of those sort of things that we are exploring with our customers here in the UK, and I think it's, you know, it is just very much the product. It is not just that initial sale. It is as an ambassador. That's my big thing that I keep banging on about.
Well, that's great. And I know in my own home, it's sort of littered with things from museum stores, and it does often offer a chance to have a fuller conversation about that visit and
It
tell
prompts a
people why
conversation.
they
Yeah.
should go themselves. Absolutely.
Yeah, but you know, you might then be giving that as a gift to somebody as well. You know,
Mhm.
and you know, that is then extending. You know, you might have holiday cards that you send out to people, a pack of 10 cards. That's going out to 10 different people who will then be learning about the museum. You know, and that's an important element.
Melody, what unique roles are museum stores playing in the industry today? And what have you seen change during your time in the industry?
Oof, a lot has
Big one.
changed. So first off, revenue. But 20 years ago, I'd say a lot of museums, a lot of institutions were still seeing their shops as a nice to have, a visitor amenity, which it still is. But today it's even more powerful because the unrestricted revenue is a big source of financial stability for these shops. You know, there's cuts in grants,
Mm.
there's cuts in budgets, doing more with less. I think everybody in this industry understands that feeling. And that revenue from shops is becoming more and more important in the last 20 years, and people are taking notice. You're also seeing that mix from going from souvenirs to really being strategic. And I'm not talking about the little gifts you're picking up. Those are important, but those generic items that I think we've all walked into a store and gone, didn't I walk into the store yesterday or another day? It's all the same
Mm.
item and just a generic souvenir. So when it's you're seeing that really change from being a souvenir to being something a little more interesting, more connected.
Mm.
And finally, e-commerce. That used to be, again, that's nice to have. Someone will have it out there. It's not for us. But you're seeing people really expecting it, boards expecting it, and folks really using it to connect with visitors across the globe. You're shipping out items not just to your local neighborhoods, but you're connecting with folks across the nation, across the world, and sharing your brand, your mission, your artwork, all these pieces. And those items need to really stand up to being able to be shipped around the world and stand out with who you are.
Mm.
I think the
Yeah.
e-commerce, as you've mentioned, really is sort of an example of making the museum store a destination in and of itself. Because so
Mhm.
often we've left that site, we can't go back easily and pick up a gift or what have you. But if it's been a great experience, we'll seek out that e-commerce and go back to the store virtually. So that's an excellent point.
Mhm.
Simon,
Yeah.
Cornflower sees sustainability as an important focus. And how can this be achieved while still keeping things accessible, especially from a pricing point of view?
Yeah, well, I think, you know, sustainability in the UK is a really, really important thing for us, and I know it is for you in the US. So we're FSC certified, we're ISO 14001, and very recently we've just become B Corp certified, which is really exciting thing. But sustainability is I mean, people they think about sustainability and they immediately think of FSC paper and wood and recycled materials, maybe organic cotton and everything. But true sustainability, in my view, in museum retail is about the design of the products themselves. And it is this point about a custom product, which is exclusive, that somebody will buy and therefore value, and keep longer than a generic sort of souvenir, which is perhaps more disposable. So by injecting the sort of the sense of place of a museum into a product, they're all automatically more sort of sustainable in that way. And it's all about the, as I say, the substrates as well. And we're very very much using FSC wood in all of our products. A lot of the things in the UK, it's now becoming very much accepted that things are sustainable. It's part of the pricing of the product. It's not an add-on. So when you talk about sort of the price of a product, it's accepted that there isn't a sort of a sustainable and a non-sustainable version of a fridge magnet. It is, everything just should be sustainable, should be part of the price of that. And so that just seems to be the acceptance amongst consumers, that's the case. And it's something that we suppliers need to embrace, and actually, obviously the museums themselves.
Great. And I like that expanded view of sustainability, that idea that the product actually has sort of staying power itself. That's excellent.
Yeah.
Well, this is for both of you. What trends are you seeing today? What's new in product development, and what do you see on the horizon?
A big trend I see is shopping in a way that's value aligned for customers. And sustainability is one of those big pieces. So really shopping with your own personal values, going into a store, looking for those items. A lot of shoppers, like you said, it's built in. They're expecting it to be eco-conscious. They're expecting those FSC woods to be there. And having those value aligned pieces in the shop are helping really pay off, especially when you're looking at the Gen Z, the millennials, people who are turning those products around and want to know more. It's not just a grab and go, toss in the bag, not thinking of where it came from, but really looking for more out of each product. And then I'll go with pets. So the pet industry, our pets, it's over $100 billion industry. I think half of that is just me. But it really does keep growing year after year. So if we're really seeing more interest in this space, and pet parents are passionate ones. So if your museum has any events, from adoption events to exhibits, pieces like that, it's a really great one to go in and experiment with, be it a collar or a dog-themed bag or items like that. Infusing that pet into these pieces would be a fun way to bring those customers in who are really passionate. We all know that pet parent who just talks about their dogs or cats all day. And finally, I'm going to throw in nostalgia. So those feel-good vibes, when you see an item that you grew up with, that it's really a powerful driver for folks and helps them purchase that item and connect with that product. So that could be maybe a painting, maybe even like vintage throwback logos from your museum. If you have a powerful one that connected with folks, it can be a way to bring that back. But also remember, nostalgia means a lot of different things to people. That could be the 60s, but it could also be the 90s, which I know is a shock to a lot of folks. But the 90s could be that nostalgic piece for a lot of folks. So bring that in, seeing how you can use this trend within your institution to connect with your audience.
Great, thank you. Simon, how about you?
Well, I think one of the things, the issues we have here in the UK, and I'm sure it's exactly the same in the US, is the cost of living crisis, and and so we are finding increasingly our customers are asking for some lower price point stuff, which is very important. That's always very important. But when we get into higher price point, they are expecting to see value. They're very much expecting to see, and that might be, sort of limited editions. It might be textures on things. So much more of a feeling of value in a product. So, for example, something that's quite popular with us at the moment are notebooks covered in digitally printed fabric. It's that very much that sort of feeling of sort of longevity and value. A customer of ours who was saying the other day about finding visitors in her shop picking up their phone and checking where the product that was in the shop, generic products that were in the shop, whether they could find them cheaper elsewhere. That's a thing which is coming out of the cost of living crisis. But we within the museum sector are, we can sort of fight that sort of thing with the exclusive products, with things that are only available in the museum shop. So that's a sort of a very, very much a trend. Exclusive custom products. Mindfulness is a trend that we are finding, and I think this is probably reflected in the Pantone color of the year, isn't it? Which is Cloud Dancer. Which is a white color. It's a sort of a calm, serene, we all need some calmness and serenity in the world at the moment. And I think that's probably where Pantone are trying to push that. But there is very much the mindfulness aspect of things. So products like diffusers and candles and jigsaws. Jigsaws are a very popular line for us, and I think so mindfulness from that side of things. Hanging decorations, we would call them hanging decorations, you would call them ornaments. They were last year, they were the big seller for us. Everybody was buying those, which is it's a great product. Coming back to the feeling of texture and things in terms of fridge magnets, wooden fridge magnets that we do with layers on them. So a picture rather than just a fridge magnet of a painting, now a layer which shows the frame as well. So it's sort of the whole sort of piece. So it's just that feeling of just that extra bit of added value. Which I think is important, and we're finding that's also then going through into things like tote bags, where the standard promotional weight tote bag, which just it tends to be sort of given away in a shop, is people are giving away from that because they're conscious that they have hundreds of those potentially tote bags from exhibitions and things, but what they want is something with some value to it. So a heavier weight cotton, something that sort of actually that they can keep and feel has intrinsic value to it.
I know from my point of view, because I also work as an artist for museum stores, sort of to echo what you've said, with tote bags, something that I've noticed particularly is that people almost see them as a sort of status symbol. They like to carry them to show where they've been. It's not just that they're well made and convenient and attractive, but it's kind of fun to show that, I visited this museum, and it's sort of a good conversation starter at the grocery store.
It comes back to visitor explaining then, doesn't it?
Yes. And over here in the US, at least where I live, we have to take our own bags to the store. So the more tote bags we have, the better. The other thing is with the ornaments. I'm surprised at how they sell just as well in March as they do in November, December. People aren't just buying them for the tree, even though we call them the ornament. I'm seeing people having them on refrigerators, on bulletin boards, hanging in their car, from the rear view mirror. So something I think is useful is to look at the products that we're offering and imagine what else they might be used for. It might not be their obvious or standard use. So just my 2 cents there. But
no, it's very interesting.
Just no longer a seasonal product. It's really an all year long item.
That's right. And a lot of museum shops sell a new one or several new ones each year. And so you find people really collecting them and looking forward to what's the new ornament this year. And that's another perhaps view of sustainability. It's a long-term commitment from your shoppers.
Yeah, definitely.
Great.
Very interesting.
Well, I want to thank you both for joining us today. I really appreciate it. And I know that I've learned a lot. If any of you have questions for Simon or for Melody, please feel free to email us. That email address will be shown at the end of this webinar. And if you're interested in learning more about cornflower here in the United States, please feel free to contact me directly, and I'd be happy to set up a time to talk with you about our services and our products. Thank you again and have a great day.
Thank you.